Should the Texans extend Nico Collins before the start of the season? There's a strong case for, there's a strong case against. Both sides have some good points, and there's also some comps to get into, as well as potential leverage. Let's break it all down in another edition of The Locker Room.
Yeah, it's The Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do.
Should the Texans extend Nico Collins before the start of the season? There's a strong case for, there's a strong case against. I think both sides need to look into it strongly. Now, these discussions, they're not about getting in players' pockets. It's not about penny pinching how much a player makes. It's about there being a salary cap and teams having to do what's best for them and players having to do what's in their best interest. It's a game, recognized game type of situation. And when you're a team like the Texans, that's eventually going to have to make a tough decision, like a lot of these teams above them that are probably a little further ahead in their processes are having to make. You want to sign players at the right times. You don't want to overpay. And especially once you're paying a franchise quarterback what franchise quarterbacks demand and deserve, you want to make sure you're making the right choices. Let's take a look at Nico Collins in year 3. And it was a hell of a year 3. First year that he had a solid quarterback. First year that he was healthy. For the most part as well. A couple of things that could come into play when it comes to the negotiations. You look at last year, he was 8th in the league in yards, 8th in touchdowns, 1297 and 8, 80 receptions. He only missed 2 games, although he did leave the Jets game early. But for the most part, it was a productive season. And had he had 3 seasons like that, he might have already been extended like a couple of his peers. Let's look at a couple of guys that got extensions in the same area as or in the same draft as Nico Collins, I should say. Starting with Devontae Smith, he got a 3-year, $75 million contract. Although you look at his 3 years of production, has never missed a game. Not due to rest. He missed week 17 last year, has never, ever missed a game, and has produced at a relatively high level the last couple of years with the over 1,000 yards in each of those years and 7 touchdowns as well. Then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Smith got 3 years, $75 million with $51 million guaranteed. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he got a 4-year extension worth $120 million, $77 million guaranteed. You can see right there his production, never less than 90 catches, 1,500 yards last year, 10 touchdowns, and 119 catches. So it's hard to argue with St. Brown getting his extension. But let's focus on Nico Collins here, and I want you to keep those two guys in the back of your mind. And I put those guys up because they're in the same situation. They got the extension, and quite frankly, they've been more productive than Nico Collins. Now, in fairness, and it is a fact, you can point to the fact that he only had an elite quarterback 1 year. Those guys have had pretty solid quarterbacks every year that they've been in the league. Smith has had Jalen Hurts, and Amon-Ra St. Brown has had Jared Goff. But the biggest number for me, if I'm the Texans, from the Texans' point of view, is the games missed. Smith has missed 1 team choice. St. Brown has missed 2, and Nico Collins has missed 12. Nico Collins has missed 12 games. So that's kind of going to be something that the Texans might look at. And last year, heading into the season, it was something that Nico Collins kind of was openly talking about staying on the field, which he did do. Now, what is the value of Nico Collins? That's really the question. What is the value? Do you think that Nico Collins is in the same class as Devontae Smith and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Last year, the answer would be absolutely yes. But the 3-year body of work, specifically the games played, the answer would be no. And that's very, very important. Also, those guys have put together consecutive good years. We've only seen one good year from Nico Collins. Again, 2 reasons why: not being on the field and poor quarterback play. You can point to that, but that's how the Texans are going to probably push back with Nico Collins. The next question will be, what can Nico Collins' value be? In other words, if you're the Texans and you're looking at it from your point of view and you're trying to get an extension at the right time, and quite frankly, they failed in this area last year with Titus Howard. The contract they gave Titus Howard, good for Titus Howard for getting it, but one of the good things for a player when you get an extension is you avoid disaster if you get hurt and then you're on the market as an injured player. Titus Howard was able to avoid that. The Texans, if they had not given Titus Howard the extension, they might have been able to bring him back at a bargain. It damn sure wouldn't have been the same price. The other side of that is, I don't know that even if Titus Howard had had a good year at tackle, that the price would have been much higher than the deal that they gave him, which is the question I have with Nico Collins. Is Nico Collins, if he has another solid year, and he has Stephon Diggs, he has Tank Dell with him, he has Dalton Schultz, so statistically, it might be more difficult to put up the type of numbers he put up. But let's say he has another good year, and let's say he stays on the field again for 14, 15 games. Is his value going to be higher than Devontae Smith and St. Brown? Can the Texans get Nico Collins at a bargain? Could the Texans get Nico Collins on a 4-year, $80 million extension that makes sense for both parties? Because Nico Collins avoids the risk of injury, and the Texans lock up one of their receivers before they have to go into next offseason. And does it make sense for Nico Collins? Or would Nico Collins want to sit back and wait and let it play out? The question would be, what leverage does Nico have? The leverage Nico Collins has is this, and this kind of works both ways. If you look at the current state of the Texans wide receiver position, Nico Collins is on the final year of his deal. So is Stephon Diggs. So is Robert Woods, and so is Noah Brown. So 4 of your 5 top wide receivers are on the final year of their deal. You got to think Woods is going to be gone. Brown is going to be gone. Who knows what happens with Diggs? He's into his 30s. He's not nearly as young as Nico Collins. Doesn't have the chemistry with CJ Stroud. So there's a strong chance that next offseason, wide receiver is going to be an extremely pressing need. So Nico Collins could see that. And if he balls out, someone that's familiar with CJ Stroud, and that would mean that they had 2 years together, maybe he can get the St. Brown, Devontae Smith type of contract. Is it going to be much higher? Probably not. But if he goes out there and balls, I mean, wouldn't you think that they're going to lean more towards Nico Collins than Stephon Diggs? Now, on the other hand, what leverage do the Texans have? The salary cap, or not the salary cap, the franchise tag. The Texans could always just franchise tag Nico Collins. But the thing about that is that gets pretty expensive. That gets into the 20s. I don't even know if that would necessarily be a bad thing for Nico Collins. Some wide receivers hate playing on the franchise tag. Some are like, okay, you're going to pay me 20. I'm still going to be in my mid-20s. I'm going to go out there and ball, and y'all are going to have to figure it out again. That's something the Texans will have to figure out. So you can make a case for both sides. From the Texans' point of view, can you get Nico Collins at a bargain? From Nico Collins' point of view, if I go out there and ball out, then I'm going to have 2 years with your franchise quarterback, and you know damn well he's going to want to bring me back. You don't have any other wide receivers under contract except Tank Dell, and you're going to have to pay me. From the Texans' point of view, you wait it out. Is the price going to be right? You also have that Titus Howard thing in the back of your mind. Should they do it? Me personally, I would wait. If I were Nico, though, like from Nico's point of view, I would think about perhaps going and trying to get something slightly below what St. Brown and what Devontae Smith got. I don't, if the Texans are going to pay him like that, like they did Titus Howard, like he's an elite player, then he should jump on that. I don't know if that's in their best interest, but there are strong cases for both sides. Nick Caserio, again, has brought this up unsolicited, and I think it is something to watch as training camp approaches. It's fascinating. It's an important position. We know that they're going to be pretty deep at wide receiver this year. Next year, it's going to become a pressing need. Now, the other thing is, can Nico Collins stay healthy again? And what does the production look like at the wide receiver position with Tank Dell returning, with Stephon Diggs returning, and with Nico? So I'll re-ask the question. For me, from a Texans point of view, I would wait. From Nico Collins' point of view, I would go try to get something done that makes sense for both parties. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should the Texans sign Nico Collins before the start of the season? Appreciate you for coming through. Talk to you 10 a.m. Sports Radio 610, the Odyssey app, and right here on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Locker Room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker Room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Local